answer is no, and the long answer is no as well. This explains why mills are aggressively working to lessen their dependence on prime and scrap in numerous ways. You have to understand that hot rolled coil accounts for more than half of the steel production and shipments in the U.S., which explains why so much attention is paid to it and why the looming shortage is a big deal. The recipe for hot rolled coil is basically prime scrap, shredded scrap, and plate and structural scrap. They can't use grades like heavy melt. Some steelmakers are working overtime to figure out how to use more shred and less prime to tackle the shortage, which is no secret. The supply of U.S. prime scrap has been shrinking for 50 years, from over 40 million tons generated in the early 1970s each year to around 13 million tons today. 13 million seems like a decent number until you consider there is more than 13 million tons of hot roll capacity that is just starting to come online or will come online in the next 3 years. Considering the 13 million tons of new capacity, even using 40% prime to 60% shred, which is the ratio one producer has recently achieved, the additional 13 million tons of capacity will require 5.2 million tons of prime scrap if only 40% is used. Now, steelmaker Cleveland-Cliffs has estimated the additional capacity will require an additional 9 million tons of prime. Adding to the situation is we import a lot of prime scrap from Canada. In 2021, we imported 2.4 million tons of scrap. 3 Canadian producers are converting their blast furnaces to electric furnaces. This means that the Canadian prime scrap the U.S. is dependent on may stay local eventually once these Canadian investments are completed. Steelmakers are aware and are working to lock up busheling substitutes, including HBI, DRI, and pig iron. One example, ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel won't see its new hot roll coil melt shop running until the end of 2023, and it has already bought an HBI facility. Cliffs owns an HBI operation in Ohio and paid $750 million last year to buy a recycler with a large prime scrap footprint. U.S. Steel is adding pig iron in Gary, and its Granite City furnaces are going to be converted for pig iron. Nucor owns DRI plants. So steelmakers are aware of the shortage and are being proactive to get ahead of the situation.